What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Sideline Sports, bringing you Week 11 pick'ems for the Thursday night game. I want to welcome in my co-hosts Aboud and Kels. How are you guys?
What's going on, guys?
I'm doing good, but then the Bulls fucked up the draft. But go ahead.
That's another day for another video. So I'm gonna just bring up the actual. I'm sorry, I can't talk. I'm gonna bring up the game right now. So we got the 6-3 Arizona Cardinals and the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks. This is a very interesting game for a lot of reasons. The main reason is we have three teams tied for first place in the NFC West at 6-3 with these two teams along with the Rams. I'm gonna let you guys take it over, starting with Aboud. I want to get an idea of where you're headed in this game. These teams have played earlier in the season, and we saw Arizona top the Seahawks in overtime, which was a great game. So Aboud, let me know who you're going with, bro.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this game, but this game is going to be very interesting. I know that Kyler Murray drew a lot of player comparisons to a Russell Wilson. I would probably say that he's a more elite rusher than Russell Wilson is, but Russ is coming off of a week where he played like absolute dog shit. I know that he wants to get that out of his system. Mr. Unlimited doesn't think that he's supposed to play like that. And of the 6-3 teams, I think that the Seahawks are the only legitimate contenders for the NFC. Not to say the Cardinals can't make a run. I just think Kyler Murray, that offense needs a little bit more gelling. It's very inconsistent. You have weeks like this past week, DeAndre Hopkins will explode. Then some weeks he's kind of dormant. You don't really hear too much from him. Christian Kirk is inconsistent as well. One week he'll be 10 receptions, 140 yards. The other week he'll be there for 3 receptions for 30 yards. So I think they need more consistency moving forward. This is going to be a good test for them, but I'm going to ride with the Seahawks.
All right, and Kels.
I think that Seattle is the better team, but this week I'm going with Arizona because they had obviously that huge OT when DeAndre Hopkins, Hail Mary, 43-yarder. Russell Wilson's coming off a shitty-ass game. They have absolutely no run game. Chris Carson is still questionable, so if he plays, hope he does for my fantasy team-wise. But for the sake of the NFL, if he does play, give Seattle a big opportunity because they're not one-dimensional. Russell Wilson can't keep throwing the ball because it's just not going to work out. You can't be one-dimensional. I think that the Cardinals come out on top, though, 34-31.
Oh, I like the score prediction too.
Yeah, because Seattle's defense is also obviously dog shit. Their secondary, especially in the passing game, is very bad. So I think that DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk and company, Kyler Murray, they have the highest scoring off most yards per game. Seattle's going up to most yards. It's going to be a shootout, but I think that Arizona comes up on top. But I do still think that Seattle wins the division.
All right, so yeah, I personally, to go back to what Aboud said about Seattle is the only contenders for the NFC, at least for this division, let's say. I could argue, right? I know some fans would argue that the Rams have the better defense of all three teams, right? They've been playing very well over the last couple of weeks. Jared Goff has been playing a lot more accurate than he normally has, and the receivers are pretty much catching everything that's in their direction. Now, me personally, I don't think they're the best team in this division. I don't even think I would say they could make the playoffs because of the extra spot, and who knows, with the COVID list, they might even add another spot to the playoff picture. But for now, I personally think Seattle wins this division, and I also think Arizona makes the wild card, right? For this specific game, I think this is a revenge game for Russell Wilson and company. I think that after losing a game like that, the way they did, it was kind of, it was in their hands, and then they kind of let go of it. Again, to reiterate what Kel said, their defense is terrible. There's no way around it. So I agree with you on that as well. I just think Seattle is going to have that vengeance game and completely top them. Again, it is going to be a shootout, and I think this game is going to end in a brawl of offensive talent because, again, both defenses aren't that stacked. I mean, we see Seattle's a terrible defense, and then Arizona's not a good defensive team either. They've been playing better than usual the last 2 weeks, but they're not a real defensive threat. So again, this game should end around the score prediction Cal said, around 34-31. I would even say it could even go higher than that, right? With these two quarterbacks, the way they've been throwing the ball all season, and then we've known Russell Wilson's been an MVP candidate for the last 3 seasons. And then Kyler Murray, after the game with Seattle, before the game, they were kind of arguing that he could be a MVP candidate behind like Josh Allen and Russell Wilson. But then after that game with Seattle, everyone's kind of throwing his name in there a lot higher, and they were saying it more frequently than they were about Russell Wilson. But again, I think Seattle will win this game. But again, it's going to be a great offensive game. Bad for fantasy owners if you own either of these teams on for defense. But I'm hoping DK has a great game. I'm hoping Russ bounces back after dropping me 9 points last week. And then again, same with Christian Kirk. I think Christian Kirk is going to be key for the Cardinals to really dominate on offense, because they're going to be keying on D-Hop a lot. And then we might even see the old-timer and Larry Fitzgerald come out and ball out again. But any other takes, guys?
I do. You said about you feel bad who starts them in fantasy football for defense. If you have them on your fantasy football team for your defense,
yeah,
you're doing something wrong. You should
exactly.
drop them. And I'd rather not play defense this week, because I think that they could both potentially be negative, especially Seahawks. I'm not even trying to be funny. I think that Kyler Murray is going to light up the scoreboard, and I think Russell Wilson, I do believe, is the better quarterback and obviously the more experienced, but I do think that Kyler Murray can have more of a field day this game, then, because they're not so much more one-dimensional than the Seahawks. Without Carson, Russell Wilson is kind of their leading rusher in yards. Statistically, he's the Seahawks leading rusher. If your quarterback, unless your name is Lamar Jackson of last year, if your quarterback is a leading rusher, that's a problem, because it's obviously not translating into anything great. Because when Russell Wilson gets contained in the passing game, like we're seeing last week, they start falling behind. That score last week, it was a lot closer than it really would have been, because the Bills started playing off more softer coverage defense, because they just figured let them pass the ball. But I think that, and I do think whoever wins this game, honestly, will win the division. I do. I know I said the Seahawks, but now that I think about it, 6-3, Arizona already beat them one time. So if that does come down to a tiebreaker, I mean, it's obviously going to be Arizona. So I take Arizona this week, and maybe the division. I have to see.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you there. Whoever wins this game is probably going to win the division.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan on the Rams. I've never been a huge fan on the Rams.
Yeah, I don't believe in Jared Goff.
Yeah, I don't believe in the whole. Their defense is, playing a lot better. We see the former Bear Leonard Floyd flourishing the last 2 weeks. But again,
Are you shocked?
Yeah, you got to think about it. When he was with Chicago, they had a bunch of they were just triple teaming Khalil Mack, and then Akeem Hicks was out half the season, so Leonard Floyd was invalid, right? Playing with the Rams, obviously they have Aaron Donald, they have I don't know his first name, but Brockers, and they're just playing out of their mind.
They have a great front seven out there in LA.
Yeah. So
great front seven.
But again, I think the division comes down to these two teams. I think, again, whoever wins this game, and I'm picking Seattle to win it, because I truly believe Seattle's the team to come out of the NFC, unless the Saints begin to start to make a run, or same thing with Tampa Bay. But again, whoever wins this game will win the division.
You take Seattle over Green Bay NFC Championship?
That's kind of hard, only because Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are killing every defense they play against. Doesn't matter who it is.
They really are.
But again, their defense is also not that great.
But it's not historically bad as the Seahawks. I mean,
no, of course.
Imagine Aaron.
Improve that roster, honestly. If you look at how they drafted, and if you look at free agent acquisitions, I don't think they really did anything. You got to remember, last year in the playoffs against the Niners, they gave up like 140 yards before contact.
Yeah.
And running back wasn't even touched until y'all gave up $140.
Yes.
And especially if you're going up against a Russell Wilson-led team, and it really doesn't matter who you have back there. If it's DJ Dallas, if it's Rashad Penny, or whoever the running back turns out to be, I think that there's just like a different switch that certain teams are able to turn on. And I don't think the Packers really did anything to improve that this season. So as great as Aaron Rodgers is, I just don't think that defense is built to compete.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like, you guys have one of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation and one of all time. And then you guys go and draft a backup quarterback for him instead of getting him something to complement Devontae Adams. Give him another big name receiver. Nothing against Allen Lazard, MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, none of those guys. But obviously Devontae Adams is the leader of that team in terms of the wide receivers. But get him another weapon. You know what I mean? Like, you guys got a great running back, great wide receiver. If you guys got a legit number 2 guy like out of the draft, let him develop behind Aaron Rodgers. I think that they would have been way more scary than it needs to be. You know what I mean? I think they could have really been contenders. And it sucks because they're NFC North. Obviously, they're our rivals, but I really don't think it is a rivalry. And I don't think it will be a rivalry anytime soon, because the Bears are doing absolutely nothing. And speaking of this division, you got the Cardinals, Seahawks, and the Rams. Imagine if the 49ers were healthy. That crazy defense, that run game. Obviously, they got so many injuries. It's just definitely, in my opinion, the best division in the NFL, hands down.
Oh yeah, it has to be.
You know, it has to
be. And like you mentioned, the 49ers are brutally injured, right? And I mean, I can't. Did they win last week? I can't remember, to be completely honest. But if they won last week, that means they're over 500 now.
Yeah,
and
but
but I definitely think NFC West competes with AFC North, because you look at the AFC North, you got Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, and then you got Cincinnati, who really hasn't done anything, but they look like they're heading in a good direction with Joe.
Yeah.
But okay, so that brings up a question though. So I know it doesn't have anything to do with this game, but the AFC North, we've seen Pittsburgh and Baltimore battling it out for the last 2 years. Is Cleveland another team that's a pretender, or are they a contender?
I don't think that they're built to compete. They do this every year. They get their hopes. I really wouldn't be surprised, just with Cleveland's luck, if they finish the year 6-10. I know they're 6-3 right now, but at any point they could just go back to their losing culture. You really got to prove something to me, and that's more than just winning a wild card game. Like, win a playoff game, secure your division, beat the Steelers and the Ravens consecutively in the season, like, or at least take a series from one of them, and that's going to let me know that, like, hey, shit's really different down there. But for now, I don't think so.
Yeah, absolute pretenders. Come on, dude. Don't. That shouldn't even be a question. Besides the Pittsburgh and Baltimore, maybe Cincinnati in a couple more years, that division is nothing but Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And honestly, I think it's Pittsburgh's division, not because they're 8-0 or 9-0, because Lamar Jackson, man, they look like they figured him out. Without that defense, man, I think they got a couple more losses in their record this season, because that defense helped them out a lot. Lamar, I love him, talented guy. Won my fantasy league for me last year. Shout out to him. But I think that they figured him out, man. That running quarterback game, it's...
Speaking of defense, did you guys hear? So the Jaguars traded Yannick Ngakoue to the Ravens, and they received Minnesota's conditional pick.
Wow.
So if Yannick Ngakoue makes the Pro Bowl, Minnesota's pick is a 4th rounder. If he doesn't, it becomes a 5th rounder. The Jaguars are getting the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions all in on trying to vote Yannick Ngakoue into the Pro Bowl, just to fuck the Vikings into and giving up a higher.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I heard about that earlier today.
That was funny as shit.
I did not hear about it. This is the first time I hear about it.
Yeah, I saw the report on an app that shall not be named, but it was when I read it, I was kind of like, I was shocked, because at first I didn't understand it. I was like, does it really matter, like, if he makes the Pro Bowl or not? But then when I actually started to read it and I realized it was a conditional pick, I was like, holy shit, like, they're being petty.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, play your game, right? Like,
gotta respect it,
man. It's the NFL for you.
Yeah, and but yeah, so I mean, you guys saw the voting on this specific game for the Thursday night game. We got 2 votes for the Seahawks and 1 for the Cardinals. And again, I think all of us can agree that whoever wins this game will win the division. So it's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be an exciting week, to say the least. I mean, the Bears are fucking finally off, thank God. We don't have to see another dreadful offense. But
geez, real quick, shout out on the overlay, man. That looked nice.
I mean, you
get better at graphics every week.
Yeah, it looked good, for real.
You want me to go back to it?
No, I'm saying it looked nice. I'm giving you a compliment.
I'm sorry.
It looked nice.
Thank you. Shout out PowerPoint. I took a PowerPoint class in college, and hey,
he got a fresh beard, fresh cut. Man, he's feeling himself today.
I shouldn't even listen. In all honesty, I was contemplating before we even started the podcast. I was thinking, should I even put on a shirt, like anything?
Yeah. Oh, I was saying,
no.
Shirt.
Oh, that's the type of show we're doing. I'm done.
Listen, that's the OnlyFans account. That's the OnlyFans.
That's the OnlyFans, man.
But man, it's been a dreadful couple days in Chicago.
Can I just like real quick, like the Bears' horrible Monday night performance. You wake up Tuesday morning, Theo Epstein resigns. You wake up today, the Bulls pick Patrick fucking Williams. Like, shit, dude.
Hey,
I know it's 2020, man, but damn, what the hell did Chicago do? What did we do wrong?
Listen, you know how people came out? There was a meme a couple years ago, New Year, New Me, right? Yeah. Chicago sports. New year,
100%, man.
same me. You know, they don't change.
I just want to let you guys know you guys sold your soul for a Cubs World Series, and now everything Chicago related is going to take a 10. Didn't the double doink happen after the Cubs World Series?
What is it?
The double doink, Eddie Pinheiro.
Yep.
And you figure out 2 years later, 2018.
Yeah.
I know. But you know what? I'll take it. Because the direction the Cubs are heading now, it doesn't look like we're gonna get another for 100 years. So,
Yeah. I mean, the Bears aren't gonna win until I'm 95 and I'm croaking on my couch.
we got Patrick Williams, so we're chilling. Anyways, this is a Thursday night prediction game. National Chicago.
So, I appreciate you guys coming out as always. A great co-host as always. We're missing Kuz and David to give us, the gambling aspect of it. But hey, this is our roots, so we're gonna continue with it. Again, Aboud, Kels, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you always.
And again, make sure you guys to keep up with our pages on all of our socials, which we will link in the description. Continue to follow, share, and show support. And you guys see us. We always tell you guys how much we appreciate the support. And it doesn't go unnoticed. I mean, all the time, every day, we're talking about how much you guys, the fans, mean to us. So we're going to continue, guys, to show you guys that. And also, we are coming out with a giveaway soon. So keep in touch with that. Make sure you guys have our notification bells on. And again, thank you guys.
Before we go, that's how actually I joined this podcast, this team. I showed a lot of support, and so you never know. One day when we take off, you keep showing support, we might bring you on a team. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, hey, it worked out for you, right? You showed us support because friends wise and stuff. And hey,
Basically, what we're saying is send your resumes to Cows. That's Cows at SLS.
All right, guys. Everyone.